Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the full card of fights for UFC 281, Adesanya versus Pereira. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the card. So in our first fight, we have in the light heavyweight division, Carlos Ulberg versus Negumereanu, and how I see this one right here is Negumereanu is definitely the more well-rounded fighter, or has at least shown to be the more well-rounded fighter. I think his background is actually in wrestling, I believe. For the most part, he's kind of this plodding forward slugger, not the most technical striker, but pretty durable. He's still a young guy. He can go out there. He can take it. Got a sturdy chin. And he's gonna press you and try to land some shots on you. Like maybe even try to mix a couple takedowns in. But for the most part, 90% of the times, his activity will be just trying to approach forward and just touch you, just swing for the fences and touch you. But going with Carlos Ulberg here. I just feel like Ulberg is a taller, longer man, far more technical striker, has shown pretty decent takedown defense, and should be able to keep the distance and just pick apart Negumereanu from a distance. I don't feel like Ulberg is going to commit too much to his strikes and try to burn himself out like he did against Nchuku. And also, it's not like Negumereanu has the reach and length and awkwardness of Nchuku that he could touch him from, weird angles just from his height and reach. So, like, he'll have the height and reach over Negumereanu, be the speed, the more technical striker, and should be able to keep this fight on the feet. And I just think this outstrikes Negumereanu to a decision. Negumereanu probably will have his moments in this fight. Probably will get a takedown. Probably not be able to get good control. Probably will land a couple decent shots and have his moments. But for the most part, I think the theme of this fight is going to be Ulberg at distance, pot shot and leg kicks, mixing like heavy body kicks in there, catching him with some hooks as he enters. But Negumereanu probably getting dropped a couple times, but getting back up his full zombie mode and continue to press. But just being a moving punching bag for the night. So in this one, I have Carlos Ulberg via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the bantamweight division, Julio Arce versus Montel Jackson. And how I see this one right here is I feel like Montel Jackson has a lot of talent and a lot of skill, but I just have been ultimately not all that impressed by him, to be honest. I feel like his last two fights should have been far more impressive than they were. I feel like really he should have been having performances like similar to the Brian Kelleher performance, if not better. Since that was like his second fight in the UFC, but I feel like he been winning, but I haven't really been seeing that growth from him. And even his last fight, you got Jesse Strader and you got I forget the other guy name. But yeah, two guys that really have struggled in the UFC or been unsuccessful in the UFC. And other people have done better against those guys. And he struggled in his last fight, taken down multiple times and put in several submissions, and just did not look all that great. I feel like Julio Arce on the side is really focused on this fight between these two. I feel like Julio Arce is the cleaner boxer. Jackson, I would definitely give the power. I definitely give the frame and size. And as far as talent, he definitely has the bigger pool of talent, I will feel. But skill-wise, I feel like Julio Arce has, like I said, is the more technical striker, better boxer. I think he's a more composed grappler. I just feel like Jackson, to win this fight, he got to touch with some power, and then that can shift the balance. But I feel like just from a technical aspect, I feel like Arce has the edge everywhere. Jackson might have the initial wrestling edge, but I feel like as far as grappling and just the composure in those situations and being able to adapt and make the best moves in those situations, I feel like Arce has the edge there. And same on the feet. So I feel like Montel Jackson's going to be, I feel like Arce with his movement and his jabs going to really throw off the timing of Jackson. Probably mixing a couple of little leg kicks in there. Jackson stands very upright. And I don't think he'll be so worried about Jackson's takedown either. I feel like he'll be more than comfortable to let his kicks go, let his hands go against Jackson. And I feel like Jackson's going to be made to be a little bit gunshot and be his timing thrown off. Be feel as confident to throw his power shots. And just when you become uncomfortable, you start to think, I feel like Arce is going to exploit that and just really start to lead the dance here. I feel like Jackson will have his moments in this fight, but for the most part, I feel like he's going to end up following Arce and not really being able to be effective or as effective as he needs to be to either stop this fight or, land that power consistently to shift the balance of this fight into his favor. And Arce is going to win a decision. Probably going to be a close split decision, but I feel like Arce should be the one clearly winning, but how the judges be. So in this one, I have Julio Arce via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the featherweight division, Mike Trizano versus Seung-Woo Choi. And I see this one right here. Both guys need a rebound. I feel like Seung-Woo Choi has accomplished more as far as in the octagon. I feel like he is the better fighter in a sense, like I said, based off that, like accomplishments in the UFC, where your standings have been or where you have made it to. But stylistically wise, I got to go Trizano here. I feel like Trizano, he got a mixed bag of losses, but I feel like for the most part, his losses have come to strikers, but like close decision to, well, not close. It wasn't close. He lost pretty clearly to Dawood, though. Got knocked out in the last fight. And then Dawson. But I don't feel like Seung-Woo Choi is to the same level at least it's to Hakeem Dawood as far as striking. It also don't feel like but you could probably find some MMA math to kind of say, oh, Sumo Choi is better, but nah. All I'm gonna say is like get to the point and stop beating around the bush. I feel like Sumo Choi, as far as maybe the striking aspect, I feel like he does have the power and he has shown some pretty solid skills on the feet. But I feel like striking technicality, I feel like relatively the same. I feel like Trizano has more tools and more avenues. Sumo Choi has more power. But what the Sumo Choi issue I feel now is he's becoming too predictable on the feet and is looking to load up shots because he got, he fell in love with his power and his, it's becoming an Achilles heel for him. Like his power at first is strength and now becoming Achilles heel. And I just feel like with his predictability, I feel like Trizano should be able to exploit that and has more, like I said, he already has more tools. Now you're limiting yourself to maybe one punch. Well, consistently one punch. You might throw more punches, but you're like really consistently looking to land that big punch. And Trizano could see that coming. I feel like he could land shots, and this is his last opponent. Kulabao exploited. I feel like Trizano could exploit that. As far as wrestling, Sumo Choi wants to try to go for the grappling approach. Trizano has his grappling defense or at least his wrestling and grappling defense has held up pretty solidly outside of going there against a stud like Grant Dawson. So outside that, his wrestling defense has held up. So it should hold up in this one. On the feet, I think he's less predictable, can throw up more volume, and be able to exploit the one-track mindedness that Sumo Choi has been having is of late. So in this one, I have Mike Trizano via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the women's strawweight division, Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus Silvana Gomez Juarez. And how I see this one right here is I was really trying to lean to Karolina Kowalkiewicz at first, but then I looked at her offensive, like her takedown accuracy, statistics, the stats of her takedowns, it's like 18%, which is not good. Both of these women are up there in age. I think they're both like 36 or 37, so both are up there in age. Karolina, obviously, the far more accomplished, so I think that will kind of favor Gomez Juarez here because she's still hungry. I don't think she'll go very far in the division, but she still got far more hunger, I feel, than Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Like, she just get in the UFC, so she got a little bit hungry, and also she don't got as much battle damage on. Like, Kowalkiewicz has been getting mopped by a lot of people. Like, very blunt force damage to her head in several of these fights. So she took far more damage in her career. They're both 37, but Kowalkiewicz, I already know her limitations in this sport. It has already experienced the highs, experienced the lows. Gomez Juarez is, fresher face in the UFC, much fresher face, and has not took nearly the same amount of damage. So I just feel like in this one, Silvana Gomez Juarez, hungrier. Kowalkiewicz hasn't been as successful at getting the fight to the ground. That's going to be a struggle. And then Silvana Gomez Juarez, I just feel like as far as the boxing and right now, she's just a much more dangerous striker. Kowalkiewicz is more so a volume striker, and I feel like Gomez Juarez is going to be too sharp, and her power is going to be too heavy for Karolina Kowalkiewicz. I think she gets it out of there in the first round. Especially with Karolina Kowalkiewicz, a lot of time making herself square. I feel like that will set her up perfectly to get hit with some very sharp shots down the middle. And Juarez is going to make, I guess, quick work of her in the first round. So in this one, I have Silvana Gomez Juarez via first round TKO. Now to our next fight we have in the lightweight division, Otman Azaitar versus Matt Frevola in the high seat. This one right here is Frevola is without a doubt the more well-rounded guy. He's very solid, very underrated guy and all that stuff. And even like on Twitter, he's joking like, yeah, you think I'm really going to stand with this guy? But yeah, no matter what they say, no matter what they allude to and whatever the case may be, you can only lean based on what they have shown. And Frevola in a lot of these fights, I feel like he could have made them easier. Or a couple of these fights, he could have made them easier, but he ends up going out there and still end up trading with them in the pocket. Like, he could say all this, that. Like, Oscar Valdez was easy money for him to just take him down and probably tap him out. Like, literal, easy, free money. Go to the food stamps office and get your cash in. It's like, or matter of fact, the direct deposited food stamps money. Like, you just getting that money directly to you. Ain't, like, no work at all. Like, but he still got hurt in that fight, still traded with a guy that had no business being in it with him and got hurt. Yes, he finished him in the first round, but still engaged in exchange he did not need to engage with. So yeah, Frevola could say this and all that until he shows otherwise. Can't really lean to it. Now, you can say, oh, he did that against Jalen Turner. He did that against Bob Ross. But excuses. Jalen Turner was injured in that fight. He had a bad knee, and you clearly see where he's looking at like now. And then you had Bob Ross. And like Bob Ross, well, both of those guys not really one-punch knockout power guys anyway. Well, you can say Azaitar is that kind of guy. Like, he's that guy who can be aggressive and let his hands go. That's what you can say about Otman Azaitar. So I feel like also on top of that, Otman Azaitar has pretty solid wrestling defense, at least initially. But all I say is I feel like this fight going to end up in the first round. I just feel like Matt Frevola may try to go for that approach, but he's going to probably struggle to get a takedown early. And then he's going to get forced to try to trade back when Otman Azaitar is pressuring him and letting his hands go. He going to bite down the mouthpiece and fire back. And the moment they start getting that scramble, like that 50-50 exchange, I feel like it's gonna be a short night for Frevola when they get into that exchange. Whether he initially engages in that 50-50 exchange or whether Azaitar forces him into that 50-50 exchange, he's gonna indulge in that, and then when he indulges in that, it's gonna be all over in short work, probably in 50 seconds of them engaging, like fully engaged. I'm not just like 50 seconds of the fight, but when they 50 seconds of them fully engaged, in that type of exchange, it's gonna be over for Vola. So in this one, I have Otman Azaitar via first round TKO. I might need some water, but I'm gonna try to make it through. So on to our next fight. We have in the middleweight division, Andre Petroski versus Wellington Turman. And how I see this one right here is yeah, I don't see the people, whatever case people trying to make for Wellington Turman. People will be putting unnecessary doubt and concerns into fights like, oh my gosh, Turman is doing this or Petroski don't have this. But Turman don't have he never been a guy that pushes a high pace. He never been a guy that has shown great fight IQ. He's not that dude. He's still young though. So hey, that's maybe your angle. But you're just looking at it based off track record. He ain't that guy y'all think he is or trying to make him out to be. Petroski got some easy money right here in front of him. Petroski, I feel, can take him down and control him at will. Still fresh and still not shot. I mean, very much only getting better out there. So I feel like you better take him down, neutralize his submissions, probably ground and pound him. On feet, I feel like he's a better striker, a better wrestler, and in my opinion, a better grappler. Neither of these guys pushes a high pace. And Petroski, I feel like it's not even in case he really has bad cardio necessarily. I feel like he kind of dips off in the second round, then he gets even stronger in the third round. Or, just about as strong in the third round as he is in the first round when you look at him statistically. I'm noticing the second round where he starts to kind of, take that round off a little bit, like statistically. But it's not a case he takes the second round off, then third round, like he just completely swamped. Like I feel like third round, he back just as fresh, if not fresher in the third round. Like you look at the stats, so and look at his fights. But nonetheless, like it's not Thurman's not that guy I see pushing a high pace against him or high pressure against him. He's like low volume, low tier pressure guy. He's not a guy that's heavily on you, really exhausting. So, and I feel like when you start feeling Petroski power, he's gonna start to wilt. So, what really want to see when I see Petroski beat him everywhere, making him feel the power, scoring takedowns on him, and really making Thurman have to respond to him. And also, nothing you can say, oh, he trained with Glover Teixeira and he trained with Alex Pereira and all that stuff. But yes, those are great dudes and all. But that's not necessarily great dudes to train behind. And that's actually, there was a guy similar to Turman that trained under Glover at one point who tried to emulate Glover's style. And he never really made it beyond mediocre, to be honest. I think he had like 1 or 2 wins in the UFC, but that was about it. I can't look at his name. I can't remember his name, but dude looked like Magmar, a big swelled up forehead. We try to emulate Glover. But nonetheless, like all these people, Glover is a great fighter and Pereira is a great fighter. But they're not necessarily great guys to emulate. They're good for a lot of reasons because of who they are. They're not necessarily guys that are good because, they could teach you probably, train you pretty well, but or impart some stuff on you, but you're not gonna have Pereira's hooks. You're not gonna have Pereira's power. You're not gonna have Pereira's length. You're not gonna have Glover's strength. You're not gonna have Glover's experience in BJJ and his awkwardness in the grappling department and his boxing, etc. You're not gonna have the same features. But I'm not talking about this prediction way too long. I feel like Petroski is better in every area, and he's gonna show it. And I think ultimately, like, controls the fight where it goes, touches him with power, breaks him down, then submits him second round. So in this one, I have Andre Petroski via second round submission. Now to our next fight, we have in the women's flyweight division, Erin Blanchfield versus Molly McCann. And how I feel about this one is, I just think it's a clear track record right here. Molly McCann is like 0-4 versus better grapplers, and Erin Blanchfield is that. I feel like Blanchfield is the better wrestler, better grappler. Molly McCann is the better striker. But I think the better overall fighter is Blanchfield, and I feel like she's going to pose that upon her. You might look at Blanchfield's last fight. Oh, she struggled to get a takedown defense. But I'm forgetting the girl's name right now. But that girl right there has historically been hard to take down. Historically been a good anti-grappler, where Molly McCann on the other side has clearly been pro-grappler. Like, grapplers do very well against her time and time again, and she has yet to really beat a decent grappler. Like, she's 0-4 against them. If you're a better grappler than Molly McCann, you will have great success, and I think Blanchfield has great success. I think she gets her out of there second round. I think she can hold her own with Molly McCann on the feet, but just enough that she'll allow Molly McCann to get a little bit too comfortable, leave those hips exposed, then Blanchfield's able to take her down, and just really start to wear on her. Probably first round, just probably get that last 2 minutes or a minute 30, just latching onto her, pepping her, punch her in the nose, punch her lip, bust her mouth, bust her nose up. Just really get her to feel that pressure and feel that control on her. In the second round, Molly McCann probably mouth breathing a little bit. Blanchfield start to pressure. Then Molly McCann probably respond maybe with like a sloppy spinning back fist to get her off her. Then Blanchfield just snaps right, take her right back down, gets the back, sinks the hooks in, and then starts to work for that rear naked choke and gets her out second round. So In this one, I have Aaron Blanchfield via second round submission. Now to our next fight, we have in the light heavyweight division, Dominic Reyes versus Ryan Spann. And how I see this one right here is it's another one of these matches where I think historics and the stats to say it all. Reyes does pretty well against grapplers. Ryan Spann is, for having that size and having that power, he might confuse you like he's an all-around mixed martial artist, which he is, but is he really? He's not one of the guys like a stud all around. He has some power on the feet. He can be pretty athletic at times, but striking defense has been historically terrible. Chin has been historically questionable. And yeah, I feel like Reyes can control where this fight goes, whether he wants to take it down or keep it on the feet. I feel for the most part, he's going to keep it on the feet. Probably be touching Ryan Spann's chin pretty early in the fight. And Ryan Spann's going to probably be looking for panic takedowns against the cage. But Reyes probably going to do that little thing where he just grinds your hands against the cage to get him off him, then spin him off, and just continue to pick him apart. Probably have him hurt throughout the first round, then put some weight second round. So in this one, I have Dominic Reyes via second round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in our prelim headliner in the lightweight division, Renato Moicano versus Brad Riddell. And how I see this one right here is going to get to the point on this one. I feel like Moicano is the more well-rounded fighter, but I feel like Brad Riddell has shown pretty solid wrestling defense, offense as well, and has shown, to do well at keeping the fight on the feet. And Moicano offensive takedowns have never been all that great, to be honest. So I feel like Riddell, I'm not saying he should shut down all of his takedowns, but I feel like he should do well to thwart, THWART, thwart most of Moicano's takedowns. And the takedowns that he does give, I feel like he should be able to compose enough to, wait him out for the right time to work back to his feet, or should be able to scramble pretty quick and get back to his feet and never really give Moicano that time to really work on the ground or really establish control on the ground. I feel like Brad Riddell just has the faster hands and just has the experience there, a clear experience gap and skill gap in the striking department. Moicano can be okay on the feet, but he often stands too square on the feet. And also, he's very open for a combination that Brad Riddell has shown to have great, great skill in, ripping those hooks to the body, to come up top with another hook. And Moicano already stands upright. His chin already kind of hangs out there a little bit. So when you start getting ripped to the body, brings those already low hands down more, bring that chin up a little bit. And Riddell probably going to have that chin right on a spatula and catch him again with that follow-up hook and probably hurt him probably several times during this fight. Maybe even catch him some overhands as Moicano tries to press forward. And I just really start seeing him, really make Moicano feel some power pretty early. I don't think he stops Moicano, but I do think he, wears him down, and I think Moicano toughs him out, trying to, work for some submissions off his back, probably trying to regain his wits about him by landing on his back and going leg kicks off his back, butt scooting and stuff to get his wits about him. It's not like Brad Riddell has been the greatest finisher in the UFC since he's been here, so it's probably still a close decision. Moicano probably getting a lot of control time against cage at points, but Riddell really doing most of the effective offense, and again, Moicano not really getting those takedowns and really work and you truly get control. He gets some cage control, but for the most part, all the significant damage in significant moments really probably going to heavily kind of fall into Riddell's thing. Striking total probably going to be relatively close, probably about 10 differential in Riddell's favor, but Riddell again landing the heavier shots and being more consistent on feet and being more effective. So in this one, I had Brad Riddell via decision. Now to our main card. So in our first fight, we have in the lightweight division between Dan Hooker versus Claudio Puelles. And how I see this one right here is I think Dan Hooker is definitely kind of on a downtrend in a sense, or at least he's having a realization that he's not one of those top guys, but he's still very much good. And I don't think Puelles is necessarily ready to break into among those top guys. I still think Dan Hooker has enough left in his gas tank and enough in his tank to beat Puelles. I think Dan Hooker's takedown defense is pretty solid, unless he's going in with a Dagestani, Islam Makhachev. You might look at, the Islam Makhachev is a fight to draw back, but Islam Makhachev just literally did the same thing to Charles Oliveira on a full camp. Charles Oliveira had a full camp for him. Dan Hooker had 7 days to train for him, or less. And you're going in with a style that you definitely need a lot of time to train for. You're going in with largely a specialist in the grappling and wrestling department. You can't just hop off the couch and really expect to have success there. So coming here now, he's going with a guy that doesn't have the wrestling, nowhere near the wrestling, not even a quarter or 10% of the wrestling grappling that Makhachev has or whatnot. And I think he can stuff Puelles' takedown. Puelles haven't even shown the best takedown. I see him struggle to take down some lesser guys, so it's not like his takedown offense is all that great. So his takedown offense is about average at best. So Hooker should be okay at stuffing the takedowns. On the feet, I feel like Hooker has a big gap on the feet and striking. Puelles hasn't shown to look all that polished on the feet. He most times look pretty uncomfortable and pretty squeamish when he starts getting touched. So I feel like Hooker can touch him up, stuff his takedowns. My only thing is if Hooker hasn't hurt at points, I don't want to see him playing the guard with him too much or really trying to land shots and finish him off, and then end up getting caught with like a knee bar while he think the guy, playing possum a little bit, or at least, last standing him. Like he on his knees, he's in fetal position, but then he rolls through and get a knee bar on you. I feel like Hooker should just disengage or maybe stand up right pretty tall and just use that length to tag him and avoid, really being in position to get knee barred or allow him to roll through on you. But nonetheless, I feel pretty confident Dan Hooker to beat Puelles here. I feel like at this moment, this fight still favors him statistically and stat-wise and matchup-wise. So Hooker should be able to control where this fight goes for the most part. If he feel like he has a clear advantage, and I think he puts him away second round. So in this one, I got Dan Hooker via second round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the bantamweight division, Frankie Edgar versus Chris Gutierrez, and I'm going Gutierrez here. I feel like Frankie Edgar, was he 40 now? Always been susceptible to the legs. He has good wrestling though, so he can get his legs shoot up, but he can kind of take you down. But at bantamweight, he has not been looking the best. He's 40. This is a retirement fight. I think Gutierrez puts him away. I think Gutierrez is going to come in and get up for him as fighters typically do. Gutierrez is a pretty solid fighter as well. He does definitely give Edgar opportunities and hope, because Gutierrez has kind of struggled in the wrestling department, and Edgar can potentially put that on him. But like I said, Edgar is on his retirement bed, and Gutierrez is hungry, young, and these younger fighters get up for these legends. So I expect his takedown defense to be better than we ever seen, at least for this one fight. It's gonna be maybe a one-time only, because he's getting up for an old legend. But for this fight, and that's all we focusing on this fight, he'll get up for Edgar. He'll train, look at every single fight Edgar ever fought, watch all them back from his prime to his decline, and be prepared to see every single thing he comes. Probably when he tries to do that little pushing leg grab takedown, probably catch him with a check hook, probably stop him right in place, probably pepper him with a jab, probably front kick him in the face, probably throw some flying knees, get him off him, and just to give him a different look. Switch stance, kick inside legs, kick the outside leg, just have Edgar really gimpy on that lead leg, and just really just have answer for everything Edgar's doing. Just being faster, younger in his prime, and hungry, while Edgar is just complacent and really just looking through memory lane. It's like, I'm just trying to walk into the sunset. I think Gutierrez is going to help him into that sunset, just will him off. I think he's going to blast that lead leg consistently to the point Edgar can't stand on it, and I think he gets a leg kick TKO, a leg kick TKO in the first round. So in this one, I got Chris Gutierrez via first round TKO. Now to our next fight we have in the lightweight division, Dustin Poirier versus Michael Chandler. And how I see this one right here is I'm not going to beat around the bush. Again, I'm going to get to the point. I think Dustin Poirier is the better striker, but I think the better overall fighter is Michael Chandler. And I don't think he'll come in here and just let me bang, bro. He's not going to do that this time. I feel like he'll come in and mix his game up, probably mix his strikes up, probably have Chandler, have Poirier worry about the power early. And then when Poirier starts to respect the power too much or try to respond to the power, I think he's going to set Poirier up, level change, blast through, and put him on the ground. Heavy ground up. I think Poirier might do a decent job to at least maintain guard and work off his back for a little bit. But I think it'll get easier and easier for Chandler, just taking him down, put him on his back, punch him in the mouth, and just control him over the course of the fight and just neutralizing his guard. And if Poirier wants to jump for a guillotine, I think he's going to defend it pretty well. It might look deep, but Chandler going to be well confident in that position. He's been in that position a lot of times in his career and been in there with much better guys in the grappling department. That Poirier ain't really going to be much issue for him in the grappling department. So I think he'll hurt him on the feet, mix him up, chain it. And just constantly chain that together, touch him with big power, switch stance. Level change, blast through him, or feint the big punch, level change, blast through him, or feint the level change, drop his guard and come over top. But just really just constantly have Poirier guessing what's coming and not knowing what's coming next. But I think Poirier will have his moments in the fights, but whenever he starts getting a little blitz off and he starts getting a little too overconfident, try that little switch stance overhand thing he likes to throw, which is going to pretty much going to cross his feet or leave him square when he's in the moment he's throwing the overhand, crossing through, leave his body very square and easy for takedowns for an explosive wrestler like Chandler. I think Chandler puts him on his butt consistently throughout his fight and consistently puts his fist in his mouth and beats him to a decision. So in this one, I have Michael Chandler via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in our co-main event for the undisputed women's strawweight title, Carla Esparza versus Weili Zhang. And how I see this fight between Esparza versus Zhang is, I think Esparza is a very solid fighter, and she definitely has potential to win this one. We have seen Zhang get taken down by non-mutants, which is not a good look. And Esparza is far better wrestler, so if she can put you down, Esparza can put you down. But I didn't think that Esparza doesn't have that non-mutants does have is that it was the surprise factor. Like, she was so worried about the striking that she didn't really put too much to Rose's wrestling. She put a approach to taking Rose down, but she really didn't prepare to get taken down by Rose as much. I mean, she trained everything, but she wasn't as prepared there. Now, for Esparza, she just more so prepared for wrestling. That's really what Esparza is going to do. Volume a little bit on the feet and aggressive takedowns, chain wrestling. But I think Zhang will be prepared and prepared to pop back up, similar to how Joanna did to her many years back. So I think Zhang can address the wrestling of Esparza, but I don't think Esparza can address the pressure of Zhang, the power of Zhang, and the overall skills of Zhang. So I feel like Esparza can have some success, but I feel like Zhang can respond well, get back to her feet, and not really have too much worry about when she is on her feet with Esparza. Just really be worried about takedowns and consistently connecting with power. And I don't think Esparza is going to be able to wear that power too much. She's already really an undersized strawweight. She really should be like Anna weight. So getting touched by the power of Zhang consistently, getting her takedown stuffed, and probably get punched in the body, get worn down. I think Zhang puts her away first round. I think Esparza puts a good effort up, at least for early, but I think Zhang is just like stuff to take down pretty well. And from the get-go, put some power on her, put some pressure on her that Esparza just can't endure. And I think Zhang puts her away first round. So in this one, I have Weili Zhang via first round TKO. Now to our main event, we have in the middleweight division for the undisputed middleweight title, Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira. And how I see this one right here is, I didn't watching back the fights. Like, I watched the second fight plenty of times, but I watched the first fight, like I said, for the first time probably a week ago now. And I saw a consistent theme, and even that fights, I feel like Israel Adesanya, if he wanted to fight a more conservative path, he could have beat Pereira both times. I feel like the second fight, he kind of felt like he won the fight, the first fight, and he did. So he felt like he had to do an extra stamp in the second fight to just get him out of there so the judges can't screw him over. And there's been, I guess, overcommitting to his strikes, or maybe being so offensive-minded, he kind of was defensively negligent at that point. And also, Pereira did do a good setup with that hook. He did trap it behind the overhand, so it was not just like Adesanya making a mistake. Pereira set it up well, so it was a two-part. But you definitely got to get Pereira his chops. It was not a lucky punch. It wasn't because Adesanya made a mistake. Pereira definitely set him up pretty well for it, and he caught him with it. But Adesanya, that would have been setting, Adesanya's going to be pretty aware of every single setup Pereira has now for his hook and everything. But yeah, for all his setups for his hook and all his other best punches for real. So, especially that hook. I think that's his main concern, but he's definitely prepared for everything in Pereira's game. And I also think he's going to fight a cleaner approach. I don't think he's going to be as aggressive as he was in the second fight. Maybe about as aggressive as he was in the first fight, but even more so defensively minded. I think he was going to like kind of use his today approach. But nonetheless, I think this will be one of his most active fights because Pereira's going to bring the fight to him. That's when Adesanya is most active. He's not going to be out there timid and baiting and waiting for a hook and waiting for counters like these other guys have been looking for, or throwing one punch at a time. Pereira's going to bring the fight to him, so Adesanya is going to be forced to fight. But nonetheless, Adesanya is not going to play fire with Pereira. He's going to have his moments where he's going to trade with him, but he's not going to make that the priority of his game. He's still going to make his priority to get his shots off and get out of there and not really stay in the fire too much. And maybe draw Pereira into counters. And so I just feel like in this one, Adesanya is experienced, his time as champion, and now having two fights where, he really very much probably like the majority of those fights he was winning. He's just going to make those corrections this time around to get the victory. And like I said, exploit Pereira's greenness in the octagon and fight a smarter fight, a smarter approach, and get his hand raised over Pereira. I think he beats him to a decision. I think this will be a exciting fight, no matter how people look at it. And I think this will bring out the best of both guys, but I think this time Adesanya gets it done. But in decision factors. So in this one, I have Israel Adesanya via decision. And that concludes my fight predictions for the full-card of fights for UFC 281, Adesanya versus Pereira. And as always, thanks for watching.